CTV News with Caroline Van Vlartigan.
Good evening. Well, the Montreal Canadiens are one win closer to being able to win the series against Tampa Bay. We're so excited we forgot to put our mics on tonight. Here we go. The Montreal Canadiens won their game tonight against the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Habs pulled it off in Tampa. The Montreal Canadiens now leading their series against Tampa Bay 3-2. Olivia O'Malley was in downtown Montreal for us tonight. Olivia, what was it like after that final whistle blew?
Caroline, the fans at McLean's are a lot more subdued right now compared to the end of the game. But here's their reaction after the Montreal Canadiens beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 3-2. A chant broke out after the final few tense minutes. All games so far have been decided by one goal, so fans were on the edge of their seats. There were lots of gasps, sweating, and people holding their faces in their hands until the very end. The celebration, though, started early. Brendan Gallagher opened the scoring 3 minutes into the game. The veteran forward returned to the lineup after being a healthy scratch for the first 4 games. Lane Hudson took a delay of game penalty, but after the Habs killed it, he sprang from the penalty box and had a nice chance with Alex Newhook. In the second, the Lightning scored to tie the game 1-1, which really sucked the life out of fans here at the packed bar. But spirits rose just 11 seconds later when Kirby Dach put the Habs back in the lead again. The game was tied going into the third. Just over a minute in, Alexandre Texier scored what would be the game-winning goal. The Lightning pulled their goalie and had an extra attacker, but it wasn't enough and they couldn't get past Jakub Dobeš.
Let's go! It's an amazing feeling, always. It's the best revenge in 2021.
It's crazy. It was crazy. Like, I was a little clenched here tonight, I'll be honest, but one step closer to making it. So I hope we got it. We're at home. We'll have the energy. We'll have the crowd going. We got to close it. We got to close it on Friday.
Post-game reaction is coming in. You'll hear first from Gallagher and then head coach Martin Saint-Louis.
Yeah, it's excitement. You think of a lot of things, obviously. For me, I think of my mom. I think of people in my life that meant a lot to me, and there's a little moment where you enjoy it and you think of those things, and then you get right back to playing the game.
And I was happy for him, happy for us, but happy for him that he's able to give us an early lead like that. And it's where Gally's going to go. He's going to go right where he scores his goal. That's where he's going to go. And I think it came time in the series where I felt like we probably need a little more of that.
Game 6 will be at the Bell Center on Friday night for some little Friday night magic there, Caroline, as the Habs will have the chance to close out the first round and hopefully head on to the second. Caroline?
Wouldn't that be wonderful if they can do it at home on Friday? Thanks so much, Olivia. Well, the Habs are not the only team in playoff mode. The Montreal Victoire play the Minnesota Frost at Place Bell Saturday afternoon in the first round of the PWHL playoffs. And the Laval Rocket are on the ice at Place Bell tonight. They open their best-of-5 second-round series against the Toronto Marlies. The Rocket got a first-round bye as the top team in the North Division. Puck drop was at 7 o'clock. A 3-day summit on human trafficking has wrapped up here in Montreal with a somber call to action for all Canadians. The message is that we can all do something to interrupt the flow of human trafficking in Canada. The event's organizer is a group called Not in My City. It was started by Canadian country music singer Paul Brandt after he witnessed a child being trafficked many years ago.
There is a song that I wrote on one of my projects called Worth. It talks about the worth of an individual. And, I'll never forget the first fundraiser that we held for Not in My City 9 years ago. There were 7 women who were there who had been trafficked here in Canada, and they didn't disclose. It was a fancy event. A lot of people with money there to raise awareness and funds. And one of the women started weeping. She just started crying. And I said, what is it? And she looked back at the tent full of people in this beautiful setting, and she said, I can't believe that all these people are gathered here for a girl like me. And I've heard that phrase over and over again from survivors of this crime, where they believed the lie that someone told them that they were only worth what someone would pay for them.
Brand's Not In My City website has signs to look for to spot victims. There were more than 4,500 incidents of human trafficking reported to police across Canada between 2013 and 2023. A 35-year-old former basketball coach at École Secondaire Saint-Laurent was sentenced to 9 years in prison today for sexually exploiting a student. It was the closing chapter of a long case that began 4 years ago with the arrest of 3 educators. Here's Stéphane Giroux.
Robert Lou was sentenced to 9 years behind bars following a lengthy trial. The prosecution argued Lou groomed, then abused his 12-year-old victim in a school setting where trust is key.
And when people like Mr. Lou abuse of that situation, it warrants for heavier sentences.
The victim was not in court for sentencing, but the judge heard her impact statement in which she describes the pain and suffering she still deals with a decade after the events. These events took place at a crucial moment in my development as a person and as a woman, the victim wrote. It left a lasting imprint on my identity and my relationship with others. Justice Patricia Campagnon says she accepted a joint submission from the Crown and the defense for the prison term.
So the Crown and I pretty much worked together on this to establish what are the aggravating factors, what are the mitigating factors, so that we give an appropriate and fit sentence. That is what our justice system requires. My client still maintains his innocence today. I have no further comment.
The prosecution said Lou doesn't show any remorse and continues to claim he's the victim of a conspiracy. A second accused, Charles-Xavier Boilard, was sentenced to 4 years behind bars earlier this year. The prosecution says many factors justified different sentences.
Mr. Boilard, for one thing, pled guilty. He pled guilty to the accusations that were pressed against him. Mr. Lou didn't, and it's his choice. But we had to hold a trial, and the duration and the frequency of the abuse was different as well.
A third coach, Daniel Lacasse, was acquitted after the judge found reasonable doubt that his relationship with a teenage girl began after she turned 18. Stéphane Giroux, CTV News.
A funeral was held for a Sûreté du Québec police officer who died last month in a head-on collision. Anaïs Fortin-Cousins was given a full honor guard and official homage today during her funeral at Mary Queen of the World Cathedral. A 36-year-old sergeant was killed on March 31st when a pickup truck veered into the wrong lane and hit her vehicle on Route 138 on Quebec's Côte-Nord. Fortin-Cousins was a wife and a mother. Quebec Domestic Security Minister Yann Lafrenière said she will never be forgotten. A ceremony was also held this morning in honor of another fallen police officer who died many years ago. André Lalonde was shot and killed 30 years ago during a routine traffic stop in Senneville, and his killer has never been brought to justice. Today, Lalonde's family and former colleagues gathered to keep his memory alive. Here's Matt Gilmore.
A solemn march to the place where one of their own was shot down 3 decades ago. At the front of the procession, the family of Officer André Lalonde, killed just 2 months before his retirement.
Le fait que nous soyons réunis aujourd'hui.
For his son Patrick, it proves all these years later his father's sacrifice has not been forgotten. On April 29, 1996, Lalonde was patrolling in the quiet West Island town of Senneville. At around 10 a.m., he pulled over a car with a broken muffler. As he approached the vehicle, the driver, without provocation, fired 3 shots at Lalonde, fatally wounding him. His son remembers being pulled from his CEGEP class and rushed to the hospital.
They drive so fast to come from Sainte-Thérèse to Lakeshore, Hospital Lakeshore. So what's wrong? Where we go? They didn't want to tell me.
Lalonde's wife, Nicole, says he wasn't supposed to work that day. He was called in last minute, and she says he answered the call happily. He was that kind of guy.
His character was very a nice man, and he always make joke and sing, and yes.
A passionate and committed police officer who was well liked by the community he served and still had big plans.
We cried a lot. All the family.
Lalonde's partner, Gérald Labbé, wasn't with him the moment he was shot, but remembers responding to the call.
Je suis arrivé le deuxième, ici, il y avait déjà un auto qui était ici avec deux gars qui essayaient de réanimer mon confrère.
2 officers were already performing CPR when he arrived. He says it was tragic to see his friend that way. Today, there's a stone plaque at the corner of Elmwood and Centerville honoring Lalonde. It's been adorned with flowers by friends, family, and local residents. Despite the time that's passed, the family has never truly gotten closure. The killer's car was discovered burned out later that day, but he was never brought to justice.
I hope that at some day, somehow, he's gonna speak himself and he's gonna raise his hand. Okay, I'm done and I did it. That's gonna close the story for me, but this is still open in my head at some place.
In the meantime, they work to keep Lalonde's memory alive. Fallen, but not forgotten. Matt Gilmore, CTV News.
There are new security and safety concerns in Dorval. Some commuters and residents worry about crime in the area because on Friday, 2 men were stabbed near the Dorval train station. Matt Grillo reports.
At the Dorval bus terminus, transit users will tell you they don't always feel safe.
At night, I wouldn't want to be a woman alone.
It is a concern, you know. I don't like to live that way. I try to be very independent. I want to go where I want to go, but it is in the back of my mind.
Just meters away, the nearby Dorval train station was the scene of a double stabbing on Friday. Although Dorval Mayor Marc Doré says crime has decreased in recent years.
We as a community can maybe do other things. We've talked about more security, public security in Dorval. There's a cost to our residents, but maybe that's where we have to go.
Next to the Dorval train station is a warming space run by Ajoie, a West Island outreach organization. It's a necessary resource, says Ajoie's executive director.
The needs were growing in that area, but not only in that area, everywhere in the West Island, there's a need for more services.
She adds that safety and security is a shared issue with the city and police. Ajoie will be putting more resources into the warming station.
The additional resources will be an additional outreach street worker for Dorval and additional staff at the station.
Do we have to rethink it? I don't think we have to rethink it. Could we do things differently and speak with our partners? Absolutely, we can have that discussion.
Some are not worried for their own safety, but rather those of vulnerable people.
I'm worried for the safety of people who are in precarious situations, and we need more funding for that.
In a statement, Montreal police said the incident that occurred last Friday is considered an isolated incident. At this point, no station users or local residents have been victim of similar violent incidents. We recognize, however, that certain acts of incivility can contribute to a perception of insecurity, and we take these concerns very seriously. Police say they conduct patrols of this area day and night, just one part of an approach to ensure safety for commuters and residents. Matt Grillo, CTV News.
Meantime, the last remaining volunteer of a safety patrol group in Old Montreal is throwing in the towel. He says drug use, vandalism, and shoplifting are growing problems there, but he says increasingly police aren't showing up. Here's Angela McKenzie.
As he makes his way along Rue Notre Dame, John Kennedy is checking for safety issues and making a few friends along the way. He's part of a volunteer community patrol started by a group of Old Montreal residents during the pandemic.
It was just the residents' way of protecting the neighborhood and keeping things safe.
But now he's the only volunteer left. Attempts to recruit others have been difficult. Kennedy has seen it all. drug deals and drug use, attempted break-ins and shoplifting.
Public intoxication, public nudity, minor assaults like spitting.
As a volunteer, all he can really do is flag issues to the authorities. But he says police aren't showing up the way they used to.
Our senior police officer said that the people of Old Montreal and the businesses in Old Montreal simply have to get used to the new reality of Old Montreal and the minor crimes that happen, and that the police aren't going to be able to respond to everything.
So now Kennedy is shutting down the group. This will be one of his last patrols.
It's just not safe for me to be out here.
Shop owner Arun Srivastava says for decades an officer patrolled the area on foot.
He knew all the owners and he took care of him. He monitored the traffic. There was never an issue here. Over the year, police kind of got rid of that.
Kennedy says the new city administration has been very supportive. Fiona Ham, who heads the neighborhood association, agrees.
Mental health is a national issue. Quebec needs to realize that.
In an email, the SPVM writes, the situation in that area as described by Mr. Kennedy does not match the complaints and reports received. Adding, it should be noted the SPVM has never had a specific relationship with the Old Montreal Community Patrol. Kennedy believes Old Montreal deserves an increased police presence with more officers patrolling on foot.
When your car gets broken into, or you get spit on by somebody, or your purse gets stolen, that's not good for tourism. It's not good for the economy of Montreal. It's not good for our reputation.
Though any change here will have to come with one less person keeping watch. Angela McKenzie, CTV News.
The provincial government is cutting taxes for small and medium-sized businesses. It's a small cut from 3.2 to 2.2% that will affect about 75,000 companies in the province. Premier Christine Fréchette said she hopes this will help small businesses stay competitive during a difficult time.
A year ago, I was fearing a true catastrophe in our economy because we were not knowing what was coming. And 1 year after, I can see that, well, it could be better, but it could have been much worse. And so it is not the catastrophe that I had anticipated, which is a good thing. Our governmental programs must have helped.
Still ahead, more women are seeking help for menopause, but are they getting the right advice? 3 major Quebec health associations are applauding more interest in menopause, but concerned about menopause care. They're reminding health professionals to follow best practices. Here's Sweeta Rassi.
It's a growing conversation, says Marie-Josée Bourassa, the founder of Menopause Clinic. Women across Quebec are speaking up about menopause.
Women are really advocating for their health more and more, and menopause has always been somewhat of a taboo.
And while it may have been taboo, demand for hormone therapy is rising, and so are concerns about how it's being prescribed. Quebec's College of Physicians, the Nurses Order, and the Order of Pharmacists issued a joint statement, reminding health professionals to follow ethical best practices, such as relying on scientific evidence and using products approved by Health Canada. The college tells CTV News inspections have identified doctors prescribing unapproved treatments. Bourassa says it's a good reminder for all.
I see more a message behind it saying being aware, keeping up to date with your education to provide the proper care for the women in the communities.
She adds treating menopause is anything but simple. According to the Canadian Menopause Society, many women suffer in silence. Plus, there's a lack of support. Bourassa's advice is to come prepared.
With regards to almost journaling what's happening, what has happened with her menstrual cycle, what has happened with her symptoms. Is she sleeping? Is her mood feeling an ability to auto-regulate? Is she feeling stiff? Is she having pains and aches left, right, and center?
The 3 associations are also calling out unnecessary blood tests. It warns against promoting one brand of medication over another, and it's reminding health professionals to make sure consent is given before treatment begins. Bourassa says the most important thing
there's no cookie cutter recipe for menopause
is making sure the patient is listened to. Sweeta Rassi, CTV News.
In a couple of days, patients at the MUHC will no longer be able to book their blood tests via telephone. Starting May 1st, appointments can only be made online via Click Santé. The MUHC explains it's an effort to improve access, but admits some patients, especially seniors, feel more comfortable booking on the phone. It says it will put measures into place to assist them, but the MUHC Users Committee has already received complaints that online spots are chronically full.
I have to say it bluntly, but it's already hell for patients with the Click Santé. A lot of patients don't have internet access, so it's difficult for them. And if you have access, you go on the site, everything is full for the whole month. I think it's easier to go and have a ticket to see Céline Dion in Paris.
The MUHC says it will be able to redeploy those who answer the phone calls to other administrative jobs. Quebec has 350 more doctors than a year ago. The College of Physicians says the total number of doctors is 26,775, the fourth consecutive year of an increase. That said, the number of working physicians dropped by single digits in the Gaspé, Lower St. Lawrence and Abitibi. The largest increase is in Montreal, where there are almost 8,000 doctors.
Menswear provided by Ernest. Elevate your style with Ernest. For breaking news and local news that matters to you, download the CTV News app right now by scanning the QR code on your screen using your smartphone. Or you can also go to our website, ctvnewsmontreal.ca. Weather brought to you by Gratianscaf. Second pair is a gift event including designer frames. A second pair free for a limited time.
Well, we are dealing with rain right now. We could see more rain early tomorrow, and we will be wrapping that up pretty much before the afternoon. I'll get to that in a minute. But if we compare that to what some parts of the province are seeing, up to 50 millimeters of rain over the next 24 hours. That includes Quebec City, not Montreal. We here have not much to complain about in terms of rainfall totals. It will be slightly on the cooler side tomorrow. Let's see what we dealt with in terms of temperatures today. 17 degrees, so 2 degrees above the seasonal 15. Now, as I mentioned, we will see cooler temperatures. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's see what else we're forecasting over the next 24 hours. So we are dealing with a large system bringing us rain into the early morning hours, and we are on the edge of the system, so it looks like by noon or 1 o'clock, the majority has pushed eastwards. Quebec City still dealing with rain, and that is part of why they are under a rainfall warning at this time. Now, into the afternoon, we will be seeing cloudy skies, and then into our Friday, we do see some clearing, and that's because on Friday we're calling for a mix of sun and clouds. So we are dealing with 2 days of a rain event. However, the Friday and Saturday are looking pretty good. And now overnight we are also seeing temperatures on the milder side, 9 degrees. We would typically be around 5. Now we're also dealing with around 10 millimeters of rain overnight and winds gusting up to 40 kilometers an hour. Those winds will increase in the morning up to 50. And once again, we could see another 4 millimeters of rain tomorrow. The winds do calm down into the afternoon. We're seeing around 20 kilometers an hour. And then after the rain wraps up, we'll hold on to cloudy skies, but not for long. Friday brings a mix of sun and clouds. A high of 11, which we hold on to for Saturday. Also looking at a mix of sun and clouds. A little bit more cloud coverage for our Sunday with a high of 12. Our temperatures are perking up next week, Monday through Wednesday, above seasonal. However, we're dealing with rains 3 days in a row, but once again, not major rainfall totals.
And we're going to end our show and go back now on a high note with Brendan Gallagher scoring that first all-important goal for the Habs tonight, his first of these playoffs, and his thoughts on being put on the ice tonight.
New hook pouncing on the puck, and he fired that. A rebound and through, and the score! It's Brendan Gallagher!
In the league, you just take nothing for granted, and I know how good this group is. I know how deep they are, and so opportunities are going to be limited. Doesn't mean they're not going to come. You just got to be ready when they do. And like I said, it's a really talented group. It's a very deep group, and we have a lot of guys that can get the job done. And when your number's called, you just want to make sure that you're accountable to your teammates and get the job done as well.
Always a class act. And that wraps it up for us tonight. For the latest news, you can listen to the Andrew Carter Morning Show at 5 on CJ 8800. And of course, you can always head to ctvnewsmontreal.ca for more. Have a good night. See you again tomorrow. Take care.